Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. If you just got done watching either Wednesday or Saturday or the previous video, anyways, uh, you'll see that I just got done doing the early times bottled and bond that I brought back from my trip to the Oregon coast here recently. And this was one of the local whiskeys that I picked up. I just bought a 50 mil because it was pretty expensive, so, or actually, maybe it wasn't that expensive. Hold on a second. Lewis and Clark, so this is owned by Hood River Distilleries. No, sorry, it wasn't that expensive. So a 750 of this is $17.95. I way overpaid for this 50 mil. I paid $2 for it. But this is Lewis and Clark Chinook Point straight corn whiskey, and it says distilled in Kentucky, so it's not even an Oregon whiskey. But it is aged 3 years, and that was kind of what what drew me to it is I like corn whiskey myself. Um, I like unaged corn whiskey. I like the I wish I haven't bought another bottle because it was stupid. But when I was living in Spokane, I bought the. Do I have it up here? No, somewhere in here I have my my bottle of the Platte Valley corn whiskey. It comes in the old looking stone style um, moonshine jug, if you want to call it that. The one that has the little finger loop on it and whatnot. Um, it's actually one of my favorite corn whiskeys. I also, let's see, Headframe out of Butte, Montana. They had a pretty good corn whiskey. I've had a lot of good corn whiskeys over the years, especially as I've gone through a lot of craft distilleries where a lot of places, just to get money coming in the door, an unaged spirit, they'll do a corn whiskey. And, because of that, I really do enjoy corn whiskeys. They have a very nice sweet flavor to it. And anytime you see an aged corn whiskey, now that Platte Valley stuff is aged, and it's been 8 years since I've had it because I haven't bought another bottle since when we lived in Spokane. Bought it over in Idaho, and I want to say it was only like $17. It was really cheap. That's the reason why I bought it. And now here in Wyoming, just the little 350 ones, I want to say was like 20 or 30 bucks, and then like the 750s when I can find them are golly, 30 or $40, something insane. So I have not made a purchase of one of those since. If I find a 750 for $17 to $20 somewhere along my travels, I'll probably pick one up someday. Because it is, I remember it being good, and things can change. There can be some flavor drift for sure. But a 3-year-old 40, is it 45? Yeah, 45% ABV, 90 proof corn whiskey here, aged 3 years. Figure what the hey, we'll give it a go, right? Like you never know, you might just come across a hidden gem sometime. Right now on my shelf, I have this baby blue from Belcones. That's a corn whiskey, along with their brimstone, which I'm a big fan of this brimstone, but you got to be a special kind of person to really enjoy that one. This baby blue and just their standard blue corn. Those are corn whiskeys that a lot of people have really come to enjoy. Also, I have the old mellow corn in there, which very much smells like candy corn to me. But that's a really nice, I think it's 100 proof corn whiskey. So you never know. You never know when you're going to come across something that's really enjoyable. So here we go. And this is a Kentucky. So, for all I know, that Mellow Corn could be the company that makes this. And I don't remember who makes Mellow Corn, but. So Hood River Distilleries owns this. And I want to say Hood River is the one that Coulter's Run. No, Easy Rider. So Easy Rider straight bourbon was another Hood River Distillery. Easy Rider, I don't have the bottle on hand anymore. I finished that off a while ago. If I remember correct, you'll have to go back and check the review of it, but it was just a everyday bourbon. There wasn't anything amazing about it. I think I paid. Well, I can tell you what I paid for it. $20.39 is what I paid for that Easy Rider. It was just a cheap, easy mixer sipper bourbon. There wasn't anything extraordinary about it, if I remember correct. On the nose, so far, not getting a whole lot out of the nose on this thing. We'll give it a good swirl here and see if we can't get it to produce something here. Fracture that up a little bit. There we go. We got a little bit of ethanol, some sweet, like powder sugar, confectioner sugar note. A little bit of a floral characteristic to it. Now I have no idea what the mash bill is on this, if this is like 90% corn or if it's 51% corn, but hard to say here. But it smells pretty good, but not a whole lot. Ethanol is pretty bitey around the nostril, but I would say it's a floral component and some sweet confectioner sugar. Almost like a glaze on a donut. Interesting. Not a whole lot in there. But on the taste, here we go. It's very sweet up front. Sugary sweet. You get a nice corn dust picking up in the middle. Then it gets a little bit tannic, bitey, kind of going into the finish. And then it finishes with that confectioner sugar, that powder sugar note, a little bit of bite, tannin, oak tannin in there. I get a little bit of the like corn silage note that I really like from like JTS Brown and stuff. Um, it's a good it's a sour note, but in a very positive manner, at least for me. Most people probably wouldn't pick it out or recognize it as such. And they certainly wouldn't pick it out as being a fault in the whiskey. So how it seems to me is like that silage note registers in the back, kind of retro nasally for me, and it's the taste of walking into a silage room in a barn. Okay, so it's not actually silage or corn squeezins or whatever, but it's just in the back of my throat. It just brings back a lot of memories for me. So that is not a negative in my book, and most people won't even pick that out of that. So it was a nice balance of sweet notes, corn dust, kind of that silage, and the oak picks up and comes through quite nicely. I would say there's no density to the flavors. The flavors are all there, very recognizable, but they don't have heft or clinginess. So there's no like creaminess to the mouthfeel. There's no oily clinginess on your tongue that allows those flavors to persist. They're just there, and then gone after a couple of moments, which it still makes it a very enjoyable whiskey. It's not bad. Okay, now the nose is more green grass, um, kind of that green cut grain note. So like green oats, like if you were to chop for silage, like oats or rye or barley in a green status, kind of a little bit of that. Still nothing bad. And then that confectioner sugar still going back in. Bottle up there. Yeah, it's a nice corn whiskey. Sweet corn. Oak comes through nice. Finish has a little bit of green. Again, very specific notes that if you've never done it, you wouldn't know. But if you went to a wheat field, grabbed wheat straight out of the field, crushed it, got the husk off of it in your hand, took those wheat berries, threw them in your mouth, chewed them up. there's a chalky, dusty graininess about that kind of comes through on the back end of the flavor palette. Um, Again, personally, I enjoy it. I like it mixed with a little bit of a green sourness. Um, Again, it's just child memories. It's a happy time in my life, and it takes me back to that. And so I have a lot of great memories associated with those flavors and smells. And so, in my book, this is great corn whiskey. This is great sipping whiskey. Um, Highly enjoy it. There are better ones out there for sure. Again, it also depends on what flavors you're looking for. But corn whiskey as a whole, the flavor palette is pretty narrow as far as what you're going to get out of it. And unless you're starting to do like the Balcones stuff where they're using a bunch of different varieties of corn to evoke the different flavor palettes. Like I know they're famous for their Bloody Butcher corn. I have never had it, so I don't really know. But if you watch some reviews on the Balcones with the Bloody Butcher corn, a lot of people like are surprised that it's a corn whiskey because of the flavors that it brings out. And so from that standpoint, corn whiskey can go a lot of places because I want to say there's like 190 varieties of corn grown around the world or something crazy like that. But I'm guessing this is number 2 dent, yellow dent here, just your standard field corn. Excuse me, which is what is used for most whiskey production, whether it's bourbon or something else, and it's cheap and easy to get your hands on. So why wouldn't you make something out of it? Aging it adds that little extra zing to it, a little bit of color to it, not a whole lot. 3 years and it's that clear still is kind of interesting. I wonder where they're aging it. If they're aging it in Oregon, where the climate, like especially in Portland, where it's a pretty mellow climate, or if it's aged in Kentucky. Produced and bottled by Hood River Distilleries in Hood River, Oregon. That doesn't really help. It says cocktail strength. Um, yeah, it doesn't really help. If this is distilled in Kentucky and aged in Oregon, that would lend to the light color there. I would think that something aged in Kentucky would probably have a little bit darker hue to it than that. But all those things you never know. But there you go. So well done for a corn whiskey. If you like that subset of flavors and characteristics, which I happen to be a fan of, but go ahead, drop in the comments down below what you can find a bottle for of Lewis and Clark in your area. They're straight corn whiskey. Like I said, in Oregon, it was $17 and something. What was it? 17. Let's see here. Too much, too little, too much. $17.95 for a bottle for a 750, and then again for the 50 mil, I paid $2 for it. So always go ahead, drop the comments what your experiences are with it, whether you like it, dislike it, where I'm right, where I'm wrong, what you found it for, and whether or not it's worth picking up. In my book, if you're into corn whiskeys, which not a ton of people are, it's kind of a niche category, but if you're into it, check it out. It's always worth exploring and seeing where things go. But it's just a run-of-the-mill corn whiskey for that matter with no faults. So, as always, thanks for watching. You guys have yourselves a great day. We'll catch you in the next video. And I'm out of whiskey at this point, of new whiskey, and I don't have any plans to travel in the near future. But I do believe sometime in July, my wife might be going to Chicago, um, where I might have her try and pick something up. And then she might also be going to Vegas at some point. And for good measure, might try and make a trip down to Cheyenne or Casper or Douglas or somewhere else here in the state to see what somebody else has on the shelf. So there you go. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. You guys have yourselves a great day.